It had been 2 years since Gru and Lucy thwarted Balthazar Brat's plans to dominate the world with his 80s-themed gadgets. Life had calmed down. The girls were growing up fast. Lucy's spy work had gotten busier, and Gru found himself running his own jelly-making company. But beneath the surface of normality, Gru felt an itch, part of him that missed the thrill of the chase, the high stakes, and, if he was being completely honest, the old villainous schemes that used to fill his days with adrenaline. A call came one quiet afternoon. Gru was in the middle of negotiating a contract for his jelly business, but an emergency message from the AVL, Anti-Villain League, came through on his phone. The screen flashed with a picture of an ancient, glowing artifact surrounded by jungle vines. "Gru, we need you," the message from AVL leader Silas Ramsbottom said. "El Macho has resurfaced. He's after something called the Heart of the Jungle. We need you to stop him before he gets his hands on it. If he does, the consequences could be catastrophic. Come to headquarters immediately." Gru stared at the image on his phone. The Heart of the Jungle? He'd heard whispers of such a thing during his villain days. Tales of an artifact hidden deep in the Amazon that could amplify a person's power to unimaginable heights. Most dismissed it as a myth, but now it seemed real. And in the wrong hands, it spelled disaster. Gru sighed and ran a hand through his bald head. He had left his villain days behind. The old life always seemed to pull him back in. Still, didn't say no, not with the stakes this high. "Margot, Edith, Agnes, Lucy," Gru called out, walking into the living room where his family sat watching TV. "We've got a mission." The girls looked up with excitement, while Lucy's eyes narrowed in curiosity. "What kind of mission?" Lucy asked, getting up and joining Gru. Gru explained the situation, showing them the image of the artifact and relaying the details of El Macho's return. Lucy's face grew serious. "This could be dangerous, Gru. The jungle is no place for the girls, let alone us." "But it's our only chance," Gru said. "If El Macho gets his hands on that artifact, there's no telling what he'll do. We've stopped him before, we can do it again." Margot, ever the responsible oldest sister, stepped forward. "Dad, we want to help. We've been through so much together already. We're a family, and we do things together." Edith and Agnes nodded in agreement, determined not to be left behind. Lucy sighed but smiled. "All right, team, it's jungle time." Gru, Lucy, the girls, and a squad of minions, including Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, boarded a private jet provided by the AVL. As the plane soared toward the Amazon, the weight of the mission settled in. Gru kept glancing at the girls, feeling both pride and a sense of unease. They were strong, but the jungle held dangers beyond any they had ever faced. As they descended into the dense Amazon rainforest, the vibrant greens and cacophony of sounds overwhelmed them. From the thick canopy overhead to the damp ground beneath their feet, the jungle seemed alive, pulsating with energy. Birds called out from unseen perches, and the rustle of leaves hinted at creatures lurking in the shadows. The minions, clad in jungle explorer gear and enthusiastically swinging machetes at non-existent threats, quickly provided comic relief as they tried to navigate the wild terrain. Bob, in particular, developed a fascination with a tiny tree frog that followed him around, much to Kevin's chagrin. After several hours of trekking, they arrived at a hidden village. The tribe that lived there was known for its connection to the heart of the jungle, and the villagers had guarded the artifact for centuries. The village elder, an ancient woman with sharp eyes and a deep wisdom, greeted them with a knowing smile. "You seek the heart of the jungle," she said in a raspy voice. "But be warned, it is not for the weak of spirit. The jungle will test you. Only those with pure hearts will survive." Gru felt a pang of doubt. Pure of heart? He had spent years as a villain, scheming and stealing. Could he really be considered pure of heart? And what of El Macho? Surely someone as ruthless as him would never pass the jungle's tests. The elder seemed to sense Gru's thoughts and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have changed, Gru. The heart knows the truth. Trust in yourself and trust in your family." With a cryptic smile, she gave them directions to the sacred temple where the heart of the jungle was hidden. Gru thanked her, though uncertainty gnawed at him. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, they encountered treacherous obstacles, raging rivers, quicksand traps, and venomous creatures. Each challenge seemed designed to test not just their physical strength, but their bonds as a family. One night, as they camped under the stars, Gru found himself sitting alone by the fire, lost in thought. The jungle was eerily quiet save for the crackle of the flames. Lucy joined him, sitting down beside him. "You're worried," she said gently. Gru nodded. I keep thinking about what the elder said. Pure of heart. I've done some bad things, Lucy. What if I'm not worthy? What if I fail?" Lucy took his hand and smiled. "Gru, you've already changed so much. You've chosen to be a better person, a better father. That's what matters. It's not about where you started, it's about where you're going." Gru looked into Lucy's eyes, her faith in him rekindling a spark of hope. Maybe she was right. Maybe he could do this. Finally, after days of grueling travel, they reached the ancient temple hidden deep within the jungle. Its stone walls were covered in vines and moss, and strange carvings depicting mythical creatures and jungle spirits adorned its surface. The entrance to the temple was guarded by a massive stone door, and inscribed above it were the words, "Only those who seek the light shall pass." Gru stood before the door, feeling a sense of trepidation. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, placing his hand on the stone. The door began to glow with a soft light, and slowly, it creaked open. Inside, the temple was a maze of corridors and chambers filled with puzzles and traps. Each step forward required them to solve riddles or confront fears that threatened to tear them apart. But with every challenge, Gru and his family grew closer, working together to find the right path. Finally, they reached the heart of the temple, where the artifact lay, a large glowing crystal pulsating with an otherworldly energy. Floated above a stone pedestal, radiating power, but they weren't alone.